Hello, Dr. Clif, your movement recovery specialist, and welcome back to Breakfast at the Office. We're into February already. Sorry I missed you guys last week. That's what we're going to talk about today. Sometimes things don't go quite as planned, and that's why we need some goals. Or, a roadmap with a goal at the end of where we're going, so we don't get lost. Makes sense. Grab your coffee. What am I having today? A little bit of Seattle's Best. This is the number 4, also now known as 6th Avenue Bistro. I like this one. It's in my top 5 right now. I did a review of it sometime last month. If you want to see it, I'll put a link up here at the top somewhere. But first, let's go get weighed. Okay, so if you remember from the first day, just over a month ago, January 1st, I was 257.5. So this is February 3rd. 1 month mark. Where are we at now? To 37.1. So I've lost 20 pounds in a month. And the diet's going pretty well. The exercise, pretty well. I'm having a few unusual side effects. The biggest concern to me is heartburn. If you've ever tried intermittent fasting and you've had, acid reflux, heartburn issues, let me know down in the comments. I've done some research on it, and apparently it's fairly common because my body's adjusting to not having food in it for like 20 hours a day, and it's still making extra stomach acid to digest food that's not there. I had planned on modifying my eating pattern this month coming in February. This month that's here now, in February. To eating twice a day, a little later in the day, so that I had food in there during the night. I don't think that's going to happen. At least not right away. Because I started looking at my work schedule, and there's no time to eat during the day. February and March are my 2 busiest months out of the year, where pretty much I start seeing patients at 7, if not earlier, a lot of times earlier, until 7, with really no gap in there at all. So it's just a whole lot easier for me to either eat at 5 in the morning or 8 o'clock at night. And I'd rather not eat that close to bed. So I think for now, we're going to stick to what we're doing and kind of monitor the whole acid reflux thing as long as it doesn't get worse than it is. I thought it was getting a little better for a day or two, but then today my throat's a little kind of angry, so I'm not sure. Might try out the whole apple cider vinegar thing as well at night and see if that makes a difference in kind of keeping the acid under control. But it's just a little bump, right? And this is what I want to talk about today, is setting goals. Big goals, initially, maybe a year goal, maybe a 6-month goal, maybe a 2 or 3 year goal, depending on how big your goal is. I'm not a big fan of these in 10 years I want to, because who knows what's really, who knows what's going to happen in a year. But you have a little more control over that. But setting a goal probably a year out, and then breaking that down into smaller goals, they could be as small as every day. When I get up tomorrow, I'm going to drink a gallon of water during the day. Something like it. Or what I like more is monthly goals, that if you stack those 12 months of goals on top of each other, you'll be at, and often you'll surprise yourself and be well past what your initial yearly goal was. Why are monthly goals good? Because life happens. And it's not fair. Life's not fair. I didn't do a video last week because a patient of mine that was also a friend and a bit of a mentor, he had started his own businesses and ran his businesses very well, and when he would come as a patient, we would talk about business things. He passed away last week. Not really unexpectedly, honestly, but much sooner than expected, let's say that. He had had a big battle for years fighting a couple different types of cancer. And he came in a few months ago and said, "Clif, I pulled this muscle in my groin down here." I know you can't see that on the screen, right? I pulled this muscle in my groin down here, getting out of bed. I don't even know what I did, but it's painful to walk. Can you have a look at it? And I looked at it, and I said, this doesn't seem quite right to me. Now, he's from a part of the world, and there's a few areas like this. A lot of the Mediterranean area, some parts of Asia, especially like Singapore, where you don't say bad words like cancer. Because if you say it, it brings it into existence. So even though he had had tumors in parts of his body before, that's not something we really talked about. And he was convinced he was going to beat it. And most of the people around him were too. And so when he came in with this strange groin pain, it didn't make a lot of sense, and after I looked at it, it didn't seem like a pulled muscle to me. I said, this doesn't seem like a normal muscle pull to me. You need to get this checked out. With your complicated medical history, that's how I got around the big C word, right? With your complicated medical history, you probably should get like an x-ray or something and see what's going on. And that was probably 3 months ago. So he didn't go right away. But within a few weeks of it getting harder and harder to move his leg, he went, they did some tests, and they said, well, your cancer's back, it's spread to the bone, it's in a bunch of places, and we could do this treatment or that treatment, and he didn't want any of those. He said, I'm gonna eat healthy, take some different supplements, but I've had more than enough surgery, more than enough radiation, all this stuff, and I don't want it. So that's what he did. And then he just got to where he couldn't do much. And he went to the hospital about 2 weeks ago and didn't leave. That's why I didn't do a video last weekend, because I normally do these on Sunday and post them either Sunday afternoon or Monday. And went to breakfast on Sunday morning. Saw a couple very close mutual friends, more like family, and they said he didn't make it. So I found that out Sunday morning last week. And videos weren't real important at that point. But eating properly, exercising, getting back to videos now, that's why we have a plan. Let's say, now, this may be confusing for those of you not in the United States, because I know I have some people in Europe and some people in Africa that watch my channel pretty regularly. So you might want to get a map. I'm going to try to get one and put it in the corner. We'll see how that works with my superior video editing later today. But if I don't get a map, just picture in your head that we have a plan that we're going from Miami, which is close to my house here, a little bit south, but we're going from Miami to Jacksonville. Now, Miami to Jacksonville is about 350 miles, I think. I don't know the exact distance. I used to drive it, but that's long ago. It's basically the whole eastern coast of Florida. And Interstate 95, one of the main roads in the whole eastern part of the country, goes straight from one to the other. So if we had a goal, I'm going to drive from Miami to Jacksonville. You could hop in the car, and in like 6 to 7 hours, you could drive in a straight line from one to the other. But a lot of people wouldn't go that way. This is just like life with your goal of, I want to get 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Or I want to lose 50 pounds. It may not be a straight line. So I might not get on 95. I might get on the turnpike. And the turnpike goes right up through the center of the state and ends up in Orlando, which is like 80 miles west of where I need to be. So then I'd have to take another road from Orlando over to Jacksonville to the east. Or I might have friends that live in Tampa, which is on the opposite coast of Florida. And I might go from Miami to Tampa, which I'm almost driving the wrong direction completely, and then go up the Interstate 75, which is on the opposite side of the state, to Interstate 4, which is at the top of our state that goes east and west. Get on it and go back east to Jacksonville. That probably would take a drive that could be 6 to 7 hours and make it like 12. But I would still get to my goal. You might have a goal that you think you're going to reach, like lose 5 pounds in a month or two, and something might happen. Your main exercise to lose weight and stay on track might be running, and you don't have a treadmill, and suddenly there's a polar vortex, right? And you're not going to go outside and run when it's 45 below zero. No. Unless you live in Edmonton or something, and that's just normal weather for you. But most people are not going to go outside and run when it's that cold. Or you might have a huge family gathering that you only have like once a year or once every couple years, and there's all kinds of food. Eat the food. Try to eat a little less of it, but eat the food. Enjoy life, right? It's short. My friend, not even 70, which being in South Florida and the people I see is young. I think he really enjoyed life. He worked a lot, kind of like I do. You know, work. But he loved the work he did, and he did it with his family. So, I'm happy about the 20 pounds. Go back to the beginning. 20 pounds. It's not my goal, but I did have a goal for January, which was 10. So I'm ahead of schedule. But maybe that means I was speeding down the road, right? Maybe I get pulled over by a policeman or something. Have to sit there for a few hours. Or maybe I get flat tire. So just because I'm ahead of schedule for my goal doesn't mean you don't stay focused on where the goal is. I did not get to my back videos that I told you early in the month, if you've been watching this whole season, or series, sorry, that I was going to do in January. But I did not forget them. See? This is why we set goals as well. So the back videos are somewhere over there in Tampa, right? If we're using our road in the state of Florida analogy. I'm hopeful that some of them will come in February. I have a list here, just so you can see I don't make this stuff up. Where's my list? I have a list here. I don't know how well this will show up on the camera. It says back, and it has some different common diagnoses like stenosis and sciatica. Next it says neck. I didn't write months out here intentionally just because life happens. So theoretically, back was going to be January, neck was going to be February. It's not quite how it's going to go now since it's already February. Back is going to be when I get to it, which hopefully will happen this month, but I'm not making a guarantee because February is typically one of the busiest months patient-wise. We may end up just not having too many exercise videos until we get back to summer, when I'm much slower, and then I can pump out a bunch of videos in a shorter time frame. So what are my goals for February? I want to lose at least another 5 pounds. And to do that, I'm going to up the exercise intensity a little bit and stick with the diet about the same. I don't want to suddenly cut my calories way down crazy low. I'm eating about 2,200 calories a day, if you're wondering. Also finding it a little tough to eat at times still. Haven't gotten sick at all again, like I did last month. But finding it a little tough to eat, which is tremendously uncommon for me. But I'm going to try to stick with the same food, at least for now. I also have my list written down here. I want to try to run a little bit more this month. Maybe 20 miles throughout the month. I already ran 3 yesterday, which was unplanned. What I had planned on doing was try to run my 1 mile that I've been running every week for these videos. And that's another way that sometimes you have to just modify your plan. As long as you are working toward whatever that goal is, even if it's not in a straight line. I went out planning to run 1 mile fast and see where I got. After a half mile, my body was like, oh no, you're not doing this today. So I ran a half mile, then I walked a quarter mile, pretty briskly, just to recover some. And then I ran another quarter mile, and that felt pretty good, so then I just ran a quarter mile, walked a quarter mile, for a little over 3 miles. I could have just stopped at a half mile, turned around, walked back to the office and said, oh, I'm done for the day, I just couldn't run today. But I made a change to the plan to build on my fitness long term. Because getting in some extra distance like that will help with my long-term goals that I have for the year. And potentially even help with my short-term goal of running a faster mile in February than I did in January. That's how that all works together. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little, melancholy with deaths of friends, but unfortunately it's part of life and it happens. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up down there. If you enjoy this kind of series, or if you're interested in some of my other series with food reviews, or if you go back far enough, there are actually whole exercise programs hidden in there somewhere. That's a goal as well. I need to kind of organize the playlist page so it's easier for you to find them. Consider subscribing if you aren't already. That'll be that button down there in the corner that's red. Until next time, remember, life is a strange sport, so get stronger and get living.